Good morning, everybody. Happy Groovy Tuesday. How's everyone doing? I know it takes a while for it to kick in and for people to start tuning in, so I shall waffle for the first few minutes. Hope everybody's doing okay. I can see we've got some viewers. Numbers are increasing. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another Groovy Tuesday. Yeah. Stuart is in the room with you today. I'm just waiting for the all clear to make sure that the sound is clear. Hopefully you can hear me and it's not just sign language. Sound is good. Thank you, Stuart. So that's okay. So here we come. Here comes everybody. We've got Sue, we've got Sharon, we've got Bonnie, we've got Linda. Good morning, my dear friends. Nice to have your company again. And if it's the first time, welcome to Groovy Tuesday. Where have you been? Yeah, Tuesday again. I know. I always, as I start to say things, I realise I say it every single week, and you must get bored of it. But it's just that sort of opening spiel, so to speak, while people sort of pull up a chair, log on, find us, work out how it works, and yeah. Good morning, Jill. Good morning, Sheila. Sheila Gray. Seems funny seeing that name rather than Sheila Bradley. Josie, Jane, all the design team. Fantastic. So I haven't got to do anything really. If you've got any questions, the experts are in the virtual room with you as well. So just ask away. I'll keep looking up during the course of the hour. And if I see anything, I'll try and answer it. If you've got any questions, then feel free to ask away if you're not sure. If I miss something, I'm sure Stuart will send me a text and let me know. Yeah, it's good to be back again. Bit of a whirlwind last week, wasn't it? How did we leave it last week? So Tuesday was in Groovi Tuesday. Wednesday spent the day prepping. Thursday it was Pokemon shows. So went up to TV at silly o'clock on Thursday morning. Barb came up Thursday evening. We'd set up for the mixed media show on Friday. So we had the lovely apple orchard two-way stamp. That was lovely. The winter scenes and the florals. And then Friday night, wow, that was just amazing. The launch of the letterbox gnomes in stamps, groovy dies. That was a little bit crazy that hour. Then Saturday, Barb did 12 o'clock. Virtually everything had gone, the delayed, the extended, everything had all gone virtually. Then at 4 o'clock, I sort of just did a mop up of the dribs, the little bits and pieces that were left over. And then technically we still had 2 hours to fulfill on the Sunday at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So I had to give the buyers a call. And we decided that 1 o'clock I'd do the Pergamano show from Thursday because there was a little bit of stock left over from that with the lovely Nigel. How good was that? Did you watch that one? Nigel didn't talk while he was getting in the groove. That was fun. And then after that cleared up and got home. And then I got home just in time to see Diana Ross at Glastonbury. So that was nice. And then it's another week. So yeah, so we haven't really done much since we last met in Groovy Tuesday. Quiet week, really. Oh dear. So, right, some questions coming in. Let's have a look. What have we got? I've probably missed a lot of them. Apologies. Replying. Love the snowflake shows. Great. Yeah, I mean, the snowflakes from Tina Cox, absolutely amazing. And what you could do with them, all the different combinations, really, really clever. Can you get the no masks on their own? I'm sure they'll be available once things settle down a little bit. I'll ask Tom, who's in charge of retail, to get those loaded onto the website. So just give us a little bit of time for that. But you won't need them just yet, because if you've got the stamps, they come with the masks anyway. So yeah, gnomes. Nobody gnomed that was going to happen, did they? Oh, the puns, the puns. Right, okay. Only just gone 10 o'clock. And breathe. Oh dear, much needed cup of coffee. So, what are we all drinking this morning? Are we hot drinks? Are we cold drinks? It's a bit cooler today down here in Kent. It's nice and sunny, but definitely a lot cooler. We had sort of like a massive downpour yesterday afternoon, so I think that made a difference. Good morning. I'm making snowflakes, which are lovely. What would you advise for doing the Pico edge? Should I use the grid and a 1 needle tool, or do it with a 2 needle? Personally, Myra, I would do it with right, okay. Good point, good question. So you've got options. If you've used the piercing grid for the snowflakes, okay, and you've say you've embossed them rather than perforated, and then you wanted to cut them out like what Tina had done, then I would suggest the grid, and it has to be the diagonal grid in order for that to work. If you've perforated and you've traced the outline around the outside, then it would have to be the 2 needle tool, because once that outline is in, there's not really a right way. It wouldn't look right if you use the grid with a 1 needle tool. So yeah, so that would be my suggestion. With the outline included, a 2 needle tool. Without the outline included, then definitely the grids, and that's the way that I would do it. So lots of beverages being drunk. Black coffee. It's nice and cool in New South Wales. Earl Grey tea from Jane. So just milky coffee all the way. Oh dear. Right. Are we all ready to get in the groove? I think I've waffled enough. Yeah. Okay. So what have we been looking at? Okay. So I know I had it here. I'm so disorganized today. Let's have a look on this on the overhead, where I just pop to the little box and find the plate I'm looking for. So over the past couple of weeks, we've been looking at a back issue of one of our clubs. And this is using a plate designed by the lovely Linda Williams. Okay, so I'm just searching around for the plate because I know I had it here. I thought I'd got myself all organised this morning. So this is the plate designed by Linda Williams. It's issue 65, which is available to purchase. You don't have to be a club member to get hold of it. And it's a lovely little plate. If only I could find it. Let's have a look. Here it is. It was hiding underneath my Groovi guard. Okay, beautiful design. Trace it out exactly how it comes, or as we've been doing over the past few weeks, we've been taking elements from it. We've been breaking it up, and we've been doing it as following through the concertina file that lovely Linda created using that plate. Okay, and then you've got a second project. So all of the back issues are available, as I said, but we thought we'd have a look at this one, and we've been going through and we've been creating or recreating this masterpiece from Linda. Okay, and I've done a little bit of colouring on mine. Here we go. There's my version. There's Linda's version. Guess who spent more time on their project? That one or that one? That one, definitely. So yeah, so this is what we've been working towards. And last week we did a little bit of colouring, and I thought what we would do this week is finish off the colouring, and then I was going to show you, because there was a question that was asked a couple of weeks back, different ways of attaching your finished project to a card blank. Okay, and there's lots of different ways, and as things have progressed over the years, so have we. So traditionally, back in the day, it would have been stitched onto the card, or you would use tiny bits of perga glue behind white work so that it didn't show through. Brads. There's lots of different ways, and I thought I'd just show a couple towards the end of the hour. I'm not going to do my masterpiece. Well, I might, not sure yet. But I'll take some spare parchment, we'll just trace out some squares, and I'll just show you different ways of doing it. And then you can decide which way you think works best for the project that you're going to work on. Okay, so that was the overhead. So this is where we've been sort of working towards. And as I say, I've introduced some colour into mine, but to be honest with you, the paper that Linda's used behind is perfect. Okay, so if you didn't want to put any colour in, you don't have to. It's entirely up to you. Okay, and then the second project, now I thought, I mean, this is just like a masterpiece. And I think what we might do next week is we'd have a look at the centerpiece, but also have a look at the outer frame. For me, it looks like argyle pattern, really, really nice. And Linda tells us exactly how she's done that in her project. So what has Linda used? So Linda has used one of Josie's sampler plates, okay, to create the pattern. We had those on the Pergamano show at the weekend. But I thought, as you do, that since we've got our highlight product of the week on offer, which is this fantastic plate by Josie Davidson, yet again. This is all embossed patterns, and it's an A4 square plate. You can see there's my hand. Sorry, it's not blood, it's the pen. I was colouring in this morning. This is our product of the week offer. If you're a club member, you get your 10 or 15% on top, and I'm sure Stuart will pop the link up to that if you was interested. Many of you may already have it, but I thought this would be great. So if I take the actual plate itself and pop that over the top, you see, so this outer frame would work perfectly, or if we wanted to go bigger. And this is the thing, the way in which Josie creates these designs is that we can shorten and extend. And I thought this would be a lovely alternative to what Linda has done here. Okay, Linda Jones has already got that one perfect. But I just thought I'd give you the heads up at the beginning of the hour that this is what we'll be looking at next week as well. Okay, see, for me, this little one, I wonder, look at that coaster. That little one fits in there perfectly. Or you could just take a section. So you could do, I reckon you could get 4 corners. That corner there, I reckon you get 4 of those in there. And then just an initial of somebody in the middle. So there's definitely lots of play in this plate. And what's clever about this plate, the way in which Josie designed it, see these areas here, they're like sort of, how would I describe them? Buckles. I'm sure there was a technical term, but you can replace them with the 4 different designs if you wanted to. You could do the same here. the way in which Josie's designed them gives them that interchangeability. Is that a word? Interchangeability? Not sure. It is now. So yeah. So this is a really useful plate. Okay. Right. Enough waffling. It's really warm in here today as well. I've got the fan on underneath the desk, and it's just helping to circulate. I've got my shoes off. Well, I need my slippers really, and I feel as if I'm at home. The only difference, I wouldn't have a camera in front of me, and I wouldn't be going mad talking to myself. Maybe I do talk to myself at home. I don't know. So who knows? Spaces, Paul. Are you saying I'm spaced out, Josie? Explain further, Josie. Oh, they're spacers. Yes, that's the word. Spacers, not buckles. I thought, oh dear, Josie's saying I'm spaced out. I probably am spaced out. That's the technical term for these little bits here. Spacers, not buckles. Thank you, Josie. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We might have a little bit of a play with this one later, just to show you a few tricks with this one, because they're so versatile. They really are. And when you combine it with the piercing grids, then it opens up a brand new window. It really does. By Jove, he's got it. Yeah, I don't know what I've got, Josie, but thank you. Excuse me. Right, okay, back to the task in hand. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at the masterpiece first. This is where we're heading, and this is how far I've got on my piece. Who's finished theirs? Hands up who's finished. Or are you sort of following along afterwards? Linda says, not only have I got that plate, but I actually know where it is. Woo! Glynis, I think Paul needs a stronger coffee. No, I just need more coffee. Coffee doesn't do anything for me at all, believe it or not. I think because I drink so much coffee, yes, I know. It doesn't have any impact whatsoever. Okay, so colouring in wise, I've been using the Perga colour pens. So I've used number 2, because they've all got lovely little numbers on. I've used number 16. I've used number 28 and number 26. Okay, so Stuart will put the link up to the Perga colour pens if you're looking for those. And last week we was looking at different ways in which to use them, either direct onto the parchment or by using the, there we go, so I'll do those numbers again. So number 2, 16, 28 and 26. Feels as if I'm calling out bingo numbers. Anyone got a full house yet? Well, it could be the lottery numbers. Wouldn't that be spooky? Maybe I need to do that. Right, okay. Stop waffling. We can go direct to the parchment, or we can use our mix mats together with a water brush. Now, this water brush is completely dry. There's no water in it. Okay. So last week we was looking at different ways in which you could blend the colours together. That was really nice. That was the red and the blue to create a beautiful sort of purple colour. Let me get a piece of white card so we can sort of see. There we go. So we've got a really nice sort of purpley colour. Look, and I can go back and I can still Probably won't move as well. I don't know. No, it's a little bit dry. So the mix mats are fantastic, and the pens are just lovely. So let's take a little bit of blue. Now I wonder, okay, I'm no sort of real colorist, but I wonder what happens whether I'll just get mud if I color these three together. So blue and yellow I know makes green. And then I suppose if I put it into the red, I'll probably get a purpley colour. So. It's not a defined colour, is it? It's a little bit dry as well. I think it's the heat in this room. So we was looking at different ways of going direct onto the parchment or using the mix mat to apply the colour to give a softer tone. So what I did for my piece when I was playing this morning, the solid lines I went in direct. Then on the little boat, I went with the red with the water brush. So it gave me a softer tone. Brown, that's the colour I was looking for, Jane, thank you. And then for the blue, I went with the water brush as well. Okay. The sand is very golden in this little scene because I went straight from the red into the yellow, so it became more of an orange. But it's creative, artistic, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called. Okay, so let's take some green now. Okay, and we're going to take our brush. See, look, I didn't clean it, so I've got a darker green now. I've got that brown in with the green. It doesn't matter. We'll go with that. So I'm just going on very, very lightly with this muddy brown. So it's sort of acting more like a little bit of shit. I could do the hills in different colours, couldn't I? The little mounds. Say so. And then if I go, let's go with the green again. I'm going to pick up the green, so it's becoming more greener. So I can go in and then start to bring those colours together. Now in the project that Linda created, she used a combination of pergolina pencils and also polychromos. So it's entirely up to you what you choose to colour in. Okay. What I would say is just put a little bit on your mix mat to pick up, because in this room that's really warm, it seems to be drying really, really quickly. So you just need to be aware of that as well. Okay. But it's surprising how much is on the palette. And I think using the water brush definitely makes a difference, especially if we've moved the pens. Artistic license, thank you, Jane. Sue's number 16's missing. Oh dear. I'm sure if you gave the lovely Janine a call, she'd be able to help you out there. Okay, so we're just slowly adding some colour to the base of where the fence is. Who's done the same colours as what Linda's done? Have you chosen your backing paper first? So Christine has finished hers and used it for your husband. That's right, I remember last week. Yeah, I remember that now. That's right. Happy anniversary. It was Barbara and Dave's anniversary on Friday. Can't believe it was 4 years ago. That was an amazing day. It really was. Okay, So let's bring, what can I see? That looks okay. All it's doing by adding the color, what it's doing, it's just lifting the emptiness and the whiteness from the design. So I haven't decided yet what way I'm going to mount this, but I reckon I'll probably go the same way in which Linda went. The red to the left and the blue to the white. To the white? Blue to the left, red to the right. That's what, yeah. Another drop of coffee. Nice. I like that. And what we can do now, let's put the same sort of color palette underneath. I reckon a little bit of that yellow. I mean, you've got 30 colors to really sort of play with the color pens. And they're not just for parchment. You can use them for your everyday colouring. So if you manage to grab the gnome stamps at the weekend or the postcards, they're fantastic for colouring in, because because they're water based, on those postcards and the crackers, you could watercolour them, because it's a really sort of good quality. Did you get that? Good quality cardstock. I mean, obviously you're not going to saturate the card, but using the water brush does definitely control that. Okay, so I've got a little bit of colour there, a little bit of colour there. And let's pop a little bit over here. Okay. Pick up some of that colour. So who's using the technique with the brushes and the Perca colour pens? Or have you, what preference do you have for your colouring in when you're working with parchment? Sometimes, I mean, I must admit, most of the times I will go with the pencils, because I can rub it out if I make a mistake. But sometimes it's nice to be a little bit more adventurous. And you know what? At the end of the day, as we've always said, it's a piece of parchment. That's all it is. Yeah, I understand that you spent the time and you've created your piece of artwork, and you spent the time. But sometimes by giving things a go, that's why I've always said that rather than go direct onto your piece of artwork that you've created, then practice. I mean, we did some practicing on the colouring, on the white work, didn't we, on a spare piece, and also the colouring as well, to see the different effects that you would get. So you don't have to do the whole piece, but if you did and you happen to like it, I mean, if I'd done that little bit, I could cut that out and use that as a separate piece. I could cut this out and use it as a separate piece as well. But sometimes it's good just to experiment and sort of play. So now, what we're going to do now, let's have a look. Let's bring this in. See, I quite like that. It depends whether I go more into the blue or I go more into the red. What do you reckon? I think, I'm not sure. Sort of moving it around to see what I think. I mean, the darker the paper behind, the more the white will stand out on the embossed dots. It's all about, what's it like on the other side? See, that's way too busy. That's a stormy seaside, isn't it, that one? Oh dear. No, I'm going to stick with Linda's. She knows exactly what she's doing. So Okay, so what we want to do now is put some colour behind the sentiment. So Linda's chosen red on her piece. So let's have a look. So if I scribble out some red, just clean that brush a little bit. Just grab the kitchen towel. That's dry. Okay. So I've gone for the darker red. There's two reds in there, but I've gone for the darker red because I know when I'm using the brush, it's going to soften the tone. Okay. So we're going to pick up that colour. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start at the edge. So I'm just going to slowly blend it out. Pick up some more. So you don't have to do all of it. You could just do part of it just to sort of like give that an illusion of sort of colour behind. So that's coming on this side. There we go. And what I'm doing, I'm making mine not a complete coverage, just it's sort of I just want a hint of colour in the background. There's a question I just saw pop up. Where's it gone? What do I use to clean my brushes? From Susan. I don't really. As long as it's dry in between each colours. I mean, you get them in sets of 3, and I would do what Barb always does with her brushes. Keep one for yellow. Just keep one for yellow, and then just use the other ones for your things. But when I got that sort of muddy colour, it was more because the ink was still wet on the mix mat. You see, so rather than sort of start in a different area, then I didn't. So it was still sort of wet on the palette and on the brush because I went straight away. So if you're not sure, just take a piece of kitchen towel and then just wipe it on that. I mean, you can wash your brushes. Of course you can. But what I would suggest is that, I mean, in this lovely weather, if you have lovely weather, I would then just put it in the garden to air dry. Or if you haven't got lovely weather and you happen to have your heating on, then pop it near the radiator or in an airing cupboard. It doesn't take long to dry. It really doesn't. See, so what we're doing, we're just slowly building up a colour. I'm going to turn it round so I can go across that bottom line. But you can see how it's now just starting to, yeah, I would say I'm sort of I'm asking myself questions in my head now. Is that scary? Or using the pens in this method will take longer to colour in than the pencils will. The pencils, in a way, you have a little bit more control because you can put the pencils down and then you could use the blending oil to blend it out so it will cover more quickly. But as I say, sometimes it's nice to explore different mediums. I know both Barbara and Linda often like to colour in with ink pads. And it'd be the same principle. You squid your ink pad like a dye-based ink pad. So like the artistry ink pads, the distress ink pads, squidge it out onto a mix mat, use your brush, and then colour in as well. So I'm just going along and just, you know, it's really, really warm in this room. I've got short sleeves on, and I'm sitting here like this, colouring in. Do you do the same? Do you go like that? And I'm colouring in, and I'm thinking, you know what? I could just nod off. I better not do that live on Facebook. You wouldn't want to hear me snoring, I can tell you that. Okay, let's have a look. Let's pop those to one side. Let's pop that to one side. See? So that's all of a sudden that sentiment has now popped out. Okay. So it's all about just sort of trying different things. If you wanted to, I mean, if we look at the piece that Linda's created, see, Linda's gone in, I chose different patterns to what Linda did, but she's then highlighted different areas. So you could put colour behind the little squares. Or see, I quite like this. Let me see if I can show you this. Let me, I don't know if I'll get it on that one. Okay, so have a look. Now, at first, when I looked at the finished piece, see these little, where am I going? These little dots here. Because I didn't have my glasses on, I thought they'd been picot cut, but they haven't. It's just a little blue dot of colour behind. And I thought that's really clever. Okay, so should we give, I'm going to give that a go because I really like that effect. So, working on the back, come on the overhead, pop that to one side. So let me think. You know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for the thicker nib, and I'm going to grab my Groovi guard because my hands are really warm now. And I'm just going to put a little dot on the back, in the middle of each of those little sets of 4. I really like the effect that Linda got. Let's see if I can get the same effect. Yes. Okay, I'm going to zoom in for this one. I'm well chuffed with it. So well chuffed. It's that Linda did. Right, let's have a look. Where am I going? Zoom in. Okay, I'm going to come in really, really close. See? Look at that. It looks, as I say, from a distance, because I didn't have my glasses on, I thought that Linda had picot cut them. But she hadn't. It's just little dots of colour behind. I really, really like that. We've got more of them here. Let's have a look. Let's do some more. Let's do these ones and make sure I'm in there because I'm zoomed in now. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go different colours because I can. And then I've got some more over here. I'm going to do all of these red. Still working on the back. And then I'm going to do blue on these ones. I really like that effect. Missed that one. I suppose also with those little square, see, little sets of 4 dots or 4 perforations, you can do so many different sort of little tiny little bits of skill sets. So I could have turned that over, and on the front I could have perforated through the middle. I need to go in. Oh, right, I forgot those. Go back to the red. Didn't see those ones there. Okay, so I could turn it over from the front and I could perforate with a single needle bold or a single needle fine in the middle of those 4 dots. Let's bring that in. See, I like that. What do you think? I think that's a really good idea. Yeah. Okay. And then the only thing it really needs, let me zoom out a little bit now. Stretch. The camera, you have to reach up for the camera above. So it's sort of like doing your stretching exercises. Which way am I going? There we go. Dum, dum, dum. Right, okay. So what it needs now, really, when you look at Linda's piece, is just the outer frame just needs some colour adding. So for that, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to go direct. Okay. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at, if we're going to pop that on there, I reckon what I'll do is I'll do red in the blue area and blue in the red area to give it that sort of contrast. Okay. So this side needs to be red. So I'm going to use the larger nib. See, this is where the Groovi Guard really comes into play because I've got all ink where I picked it up on my hand. You know, I said like, it's not blood, it's ink. So I'm going to go on very, very... I'm not putting pressure on. When I'm applying the colour in larger areas, I'm just gently stroking the parchment. I'm not... Does that sort of make sense? I'm not going on heavy. I'm just... Not that I'd squidge out any embossed parts, but it doesn't require any pressure. It's just a case of you're just applying the colour. And I think if you go on lightly, you'll get a nicer finish as well. So what I'm gonna do, I get creative and go like that. Should have done it on the other end as well. Might work, might not. Okay. Now when I'm looking at this red seems to have a tinge of gold in it, or is it just my tired eyes? What do you think? The way the light's picking it up, it's sort of giving, probably won't do it on the, it's definitely a dark red, isn't it? Yeah. And you know what? I reckon I'm going to stick with the red all the way around the outside. So I think just the frame all in one colour on my particular project is what is required. What do you think? Do you agree? Disagree? It's all about... I've had the guidance from Linda in the project sheet and I've just adapted it slightly. And I think that's because you've got the expert guidance from somebody like Linda, then, oh no, I've got ink where I shouldn't have ink. Okay. Right, I need to be careful. Okay, top tip. This ink around here is still wet. Okay, and I use my Groovi Guard on top, and what it's done is it's picked up some of the colour and it's popped it in the sky. Okay, so I would suggest when colouring with pens in larger areas, a piece of paper, because that will stop any transference of colour. See, sometimes you have to do things wrong, well, not wrong, but sometimes you have to do stuff like this to work out what could go wrong. Okay. And I'm sure some of the experts are saying, oh, it stays wet. That's a very good idea, Jane. I'm going to try that in a minute. Jane has suggested I rub it off with the eraser pencil, the white one. So we shall give that a go to see whether that works. I'm sure it does. If Jane suggested that, then maybe Jane has experienced a similar issue with transference of ink. Is that how you know it works, Jane? Oh, could have warned me before. No, I think it's because my hands are really warm. So it's just sort of like reactivating the ink on the parchment. That's my excuse anyway. I'm just going to put the... It really does look, as it's drying out, on the back, it really does have that hint of gold in it. And yeah, you can sort of see that, can't you? It's got... That's really weird. I wonder whether it's the same on paper or whether it's just the way in which it's reacting. I'll tell you what, let's try it. I'll take a piece of card and I'll put some colour down. I mean, look at the richness of that colour. I'm going to let that dry now and see what happens. I'll pop that to one side. Right, okay, let's give what Jane said a go, see if it will work. So I've got my pink bag over here. I'm sure I've put everything back in there from the TV. So I should have a white eraser pencil. Okay. Deep breath. See if it works. Jane. Oh, Jane, you're a lifesaver. Yes. Thank you, Jane. That worked. There we go, everybody. If you have a little bit of inkage in the wrong place, then the white eraser pencil is perfect for that. Or as Catherine said, I could add a cloud. I could have added a cloud. It was going to come to adding a cloud as well. What side that's on. Okay. See, look, it's on my Groovi Guard. I need to wipe that before I use it again. Nice. That is, I like that. That bold frame sort of ties in with the edge, the little boat. Yeah, I like that. It looks a very, if I said regal red, it reminds me of sort of like a rich velvety red color, like a, not burgundy, well, almost a burgundy, but a really nice, deep, rich red. What do you think? Or is it just me being in the Garden of England and Hever Castle just up the road? And okay, so let's have a look at the card. So the card is definitely just red, but on the parchment, I don't. Can you see it? It has got, see down here, the way the light's catching it, it has got sort of an element of gold in it. It's funny. I know there's one of the little artist ink pads that Barb uses, and I think it's like a lilac color. But when you use it with a makeup sponge, it becomes a green or something like that. It's really weird in the way in which colors can change depending on what you're using. So it must be something within the makeup of either the pens or that particular ink pad that reacts with the surface in which it's working on. So yeah, I'd never noticed that before with that lovely dark red. Okay, how is it? Oh, time. I said I was going to show some finishing tricks, didn't we? Okay, I'm not going to, I'll tell you what, I will take my finished piece. Now, attaching it to my card, what Linda has done, she's used brads to attach it to her card. Okay, but first off, she needed to have trimmed down the piece because she would have started with the larger piece. Let me see what Linda says that she used. Okay, cut on the back, blah, 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 cut out 2 pieces, blah, blah, blah. Matinee piece on. Let's have a look. Cut on the back. Use a sharp pencil. So she just trimmed it. Now for me, perfect thing to. You've got options. If you're good with a paper trimmer, you can use a paper trimmer. If you're good with a guillotine, you can use a guillotine. But what I'm going to use, I just think it's a little bit safer, so to speak. Well, it is. This is the Pergamano ruler. It is safer if you have the Groovi grip on the back. Okay, let me just take it off. Now, see how the ruler slides? But what I love about the ruler is it's got these pink lines on it. So it means that I can either go right up to the edge against the steel edge, or if I wanted a border, I can use those pink lines and it will give me an equal border all the way around. Okay. But my safety net when using a ruler and a craft knife is the Groovi grip. Now, with a little, it's not a lot of pressure. All I'm doing is just holding the ruler. I can hold it with one finger. And we take a craft knife. And you haven't, if you're worried about using craft, you haven't got to cut the parchment first time. Okay. You can just go over it several times with light pressure. It's the same as there's no rule to say you have to cut a piece of paper or card the first time. It's the same when you're tracing out the white line art. There's no rule to say that it has to be crisp white on the first pass of the tool. So then if we go round, and now I'm going to use the pink lines again. So if you haven't got a Pergamano ruler and Groovi grip, it's a really good investment, not just for parchment, but for all your crafting. Okay. I'm going to turn it around again, line it back up. I mean, I've just gone for one sort of complete section, but you can have this border as wide as you choose to. So you could go 2, 3, 4, it's entirely up to you, but the little guides on the ruler really do make that difference. Okay. There we go. So now I have perfectly framed piece of work. Okay. Choices are I could put brads in, but what I want to do is I want to use a corner punch. Okay. So let me show you how the corner punches work. First off, what I want to do is just trim this down first. Okay, and to do that, just for speed, I'm going to use my guillotine. So let's have a look at the size of this. So this is 5 inches. So I reckon I want to go about 6 inches. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I want to go for the lighter area. So I'll trim this down to 6 inches. And now I can decide how much of the how much of the red I want and how much of the blue. So so if I take my piece of artwork, so I think that works about there. So if I need it to be 6 inches, I probably need to take about an inch off of this side, like so. And then I want to go like that. Okay. So I reckon that's about right. Now for the corner punches, I don't know why I just cut that down to size, because I'm going to do something completely different. I said what I was going to do and I decided to do something different. But hey ho. This, if you want to get the matting and layering, then that is a 6-inch square. Okay, if you want to use brads. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit now. Really? Sorry about that. Okay, so if 6 inches will give you a really nice frame around the outside onto a piece of white card. Okay, and that's it. So that was 6 inches. So you could probably put it on a 7-inch or cut a 7-inch down to 6.5 inches, depending how you like to have a frame. Okay, now punches. Groovy punches we're talking about. We're not getting all angry and aggressive. So we've got several different designs. Okay, so I've just got 3 of them here. We've got a straight edge, we've got a curved edge, and we've got a lovely fan edge. Now, the way in which these have been designed, they're all slightly different. So I can't say to you that if this piece here was 5 inches, then the card needs to be 5.5 inches square. It doesn't work like that. Okay. So what you do first is, I'm going to go into this red corner. I'm going to go with this lovely fancy one here. So I'm going to push in, and you can see I've got a really nice, they're like photo corners. So you can use it for photos. You can use it for any type of topper that you want to attach. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a look at how that sits into the piece. And it's a very thin border on both sides. Okay, I mean, measurement wise, I don't even know whether my eyes are up to it. See, for me, the easiest way of doing it is, if I said to you that the inner part on this particular one, see the inner part of the steel edge, that is up against the parchment. Okay. And I'm using the pink lines to make sure I'm on straight. So I'm going to take my knife again. And I'm going to trim that down. And I'm going to turn that round. If you don't feel confident using, with your piece of artwork in place, cut another piece of parchment the same size and use that as your sort of like your template. Okay. So what we're going to do now is, it's the width of that metal bar, metal edge, and trim that down. So now what we can do, you could just go opposite corners, or you can do all 4 corners. Okay, now that one I didn't push in at the right position. See how it's got, I've got a border, but that one went a little bit dodge. But it will still work. I will do this on another piece. So that is now held. See how that one went wrong? Have I got another piece of this paper? to hand. No, I do not, is the answer. But you get the idea. Okay. And then you could pop that onto a piece of white card. It's easy, so there's no glue showing. You can now put your glue on the back of that and attach it to your card blank. And what it means, it also is that if, say, this was a picture or an invitation, it means somebody can take out, say this was an invitation and it says PTO, turn it over, and then it says like all the details of the wedding or something like that. So it's a nice way of doing that as well. Okay. Now, just digressing slightly, I love doing this with the punches. Okay, underneath, because obviously you need to empty it because it catches all the things. So underneath, okay, you just push down and it slides out. Okay, empty it out into a bin, not on the floor. But what you can also do now is you can create a border, but you can only do it by looking at it upside down. Okay, so if I do that, and then I'm going to slide it along until it meets. Go along. I'm going to zoom in really closely, but you can see how it's starting to come together already. Okay, I'm going to come in and then I'll reposition, but I really want to sort of show you what you do. Okay, I need to be able to see it as well. Right, so I don't know if you can see it, but it's just catching the edge of the last design. Okay, let me just get my eye in. Okay. I mean, if you wanted to keep all these little bits, you can. It's entirely up to you. And you'll get into a rhythm. But you can do this with all of the corner punches to create, I'm just going to rip that one, to create lovely, I'm going to zoom out now, lovely decorative edges. Okay, so you've got that. I mean, you've got the waist element as well that also looks just as nice. But what you could do, if the border on this piece of parchment was wider, then you could create a lovely decorative edge for your piece. I mean, you could do it that way as well. So you could stick it behind there. There we go. So if you made a boo-boo on your frame, you could always edge it with that. Okay. So all you can do it, and it'll just vary from design to design on what the pattern will look like. So that's another couple of ways of attaching your art. My goodness, it's 11 o'clock. Okay, let's regroup. Oh dear. The beginning of the hour for me, it's like that build up, and it's sort of you just go through gradually, and then also in that last half hour, it's same as when doing TV, you hit that half hour spot, and then all of a sudden it just flies round. So next week, let me just pop all this to one side. Next week, what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at this piece. I would have mounted this in one way or another. I will show you next week also at the beginning of the hour some different ways of attaching. Okay, I promise I'll do that. And then we'll make a start on this one. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a decorative frame using this plate, which is currently our highlight product of the week, which Stuart very kindly popped the link up to earlier, and I'm sure he'll pop it in one more time before we disappear. If you haven't got this, don't worry. You may have other plates that give you lovely decorative frames. But I just thought this one, since it was on offer this week, and I know we're all watching our pennies at the moment, but I just thought take advantage of it while you can. Let me turn that. It looks as if I'm talking to you upside down. I'm not. My hands are here. So yeah. So recap of what's coming up this week. So on Thursday, we're back in the Shack with Barb with those lovely ammonites on the designer parchment, which again is half price still. Then Sunday, Barb's on TV 3 till 5. The guys, I say the guy, Jazz, has been working her magic on some of the beautiful Jane Nesterenko, our dear friend Jane Nesterenko, some designs. So tune in on Sunday 3 till 5. Barb's back in the Shack on Monday, and I will be back with you on Tuesday. So thank you once again for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed that. I did plan to do some more finishing tricks, but get carried away because I waffle too much. And but we'll pick up on those next week for sure. So I will see you all next week. That was loud. I will see you all next week. Take care. Enjoy whatever you're up to. And I'll be in the room with you on Thursday with Barb. Okay. Take care now. See you soon. Bye. Bye.